Hi, I'm Dr. James Wilson, a hoof health consultant working at Herd Health Consultancy.
My name is Harry Walby. I'm a veterinary surgeon working for Ceva Animal Health.
I'm Alex Burrows. I'm a professional cattle foot trimmer and also chairman of the National Association of Cattle Foot Trimmers.
Hi, I'm David, dairy farmer from Nottinghamshire.
And I'm Shannon Trinder, and working alongside Dave.
So, Dave, just wanting to find out a bit more about how you spot lame cows on your farm. What do you think works well? Maybe what works less well as well?
The most important way to identify lameness is mobility scoring. We do that every 2 weeks, and that is very much the best way of identifying. Like you look at all the cows that are milking, and you're paying attention to every single one that walks, and you're looking to spot any abnormal sort of mobility at all. And the other thing we do, everybody on farm has a role in it. So if they're getting cows out of the cubicles, they're witnessing that. If there's any issues there, if they're driving them into the parlour, in and out of the parlour. Yep. So yeah, they have a role. It's probably less so, but it's still important.
Yeah, absolutely.
And yeah, I think they're the two main.
So when the team spot lame cows, getting them in or moving them around, what works for you in terms of how do you communicate them across the team? How do you know that they're needing a trim or a check?
So we all most of us carry radios, and
Yep.
they'll radio straight into me going, 1829 is lame on the back left.
Yep.
And I'll say okay, and we'll seg her out. We've got an automatic seg gate, so we seg them out, and I can get on with them straight away. And that is the beauty of being a foot trimmer on farm, I guess, is that I can be getting on with them straight away.
Ideal. And in terms of training for mobility scoring, like Shannon, I know you've done some training. Dave, I think you have as well. Could you just talk a little bit about the training that you've done, and if you've done anything else with the team at large as well?
Yeah, so me and Shannon in particular have had quite a bit of training in it. Yep. With some of your colleagues, and yeah, it's essential to know. It's not just picking out a foot. It's any abnormal walking, like arched backs, things like that. So it is quite handy to be trained in it, just so you've got an eye for, the very fine details, and you are trying to pick out anything that's slightly abnormal, because you're trying to treat it as early as possible, aren't you? And I think that's what training helps with, really.
And Shannon, from your perspective, obviously you're quite new to mobility scoring and foot trimming. You've done it a bit in previous jobs and in this job, but how did you find the training helped you in terms of developing
I think the ROMS scoring training really kind of opened my eyes to it, to not be so oblivious to the cows you do know on farm.
Yep.
And pick out those ones that you wouldn't normally see, and be more critical with it really on a fortnightly basis as well, to pick up that early detection lameness. Has been really helpful, I think.
So it sounds like you've got loads of safety nets in place to catch cows in between those mobility scores, but having that time where you really distinctly look for lame cows is really important to you guys, and ensures that you're consistently spotting them as early as you can, which is great to hear. Other than implementing a bit more mobility scoring, Dave, have you made any other particular changes on farm that you found have helped reduce or manage lameness in any particular way?
In terms of trimming?
Any regard.
Well, currently we're doing quite a lot of routine trims. Heifers are going a bit earlier, so we're doing trims at 60 days, 90 days for the cows, another 200-day trim for all the animals, and then a dry-off trim. So I think that sort of helps just keep toe length down, and just manage the sort of soul site a little bit. Yep. But the fact that you can move the score fortnightly and get them out sort of the same day or the next day has been probably the biggest sort of impacts on lesions and lameness on a whole, really.
What would you say, by making the move to this fortnightly mobility scoring, is the main lesion that you're finding at the moment?
So a lot of soul hemorrhaging. I think that's probably the main problem we see here, which is probably not unusual given the fact that they are milking quite hard, and they're spending time on concrete. We try and make them as comfortable as possible, but we're 3 times a day milking, so they're on the feet quite a bit. So yeah, that is probably the main issue we see. We're using hoof testers, so it's not just the sole hemorrhaging we're looking out for. We're looking for a reaction from the hoof test, and we'll block an NSAID accordingly if we do see that reaction. And again, I think that's another step forward, really.
So it sounds like you guys are really getting your early detection and prompt effective treatment in a really sort of fighting fit shape. You guys are probably one of the most proactive farms I've worked with in that regard. It's great to see. And obviously you've talked a bit about sole bruising being your main lesion. I'm just wondering if you've done anything in terms of environmental management or other ways that you've managed the cows or changed how you manage the cows to maybe get them off the feet a bit more or manage their housing a little bit more, just to reduce the risk of sole bruising or sole hemorrhaging.
Yeah, so currently, we've got three cubicle sheds, and 2 are full of milking cows. The other one's got some dries in, but we're fortunate enough to be able to split them up. So there's 2 separate groups, but we split one group in half, which means we're getting one half in to be milked, and the others are still lying down, eating, doing what they should be doing. And once we've got most of those milked, then the next group come in. So that probably allows an extra half an hour every milking. So that's an hour and a half each day where they're spending more time, lying down, ruminating, eating, doing the stuff they should be doing. So you've spent a lot of time here doing various bits and bobs. What have you found that we do that works or doesn't work, or what we can improve on?
So I love the mobility scoring aspect of what you guys are working towards, and how proactive you are with your treatments as well. You are really on it as quickly as you can. Like, fortnightly mobility scoring is essential to picking up what you've exactly said earlier, bruising, and even when you can't find a lesion, but you can get a withdrawal on hoof testers. That is the money. That is where our best investment, our best time is spent to treat these lame cows. I think from that aspect, you guys are perfect. You are probably the most progressive farm I work with in that respect, and it's great to see that you've carried on as best as you can with that. I think there's always scope to improve farm infrastructure and make the job easier for yourselves. You've got a decent foot trimming crush, but I remember from the trial work, we put quite a few cows through it now. And I just wonder whether there may be scope to improve that infrastructure on farm, and just continue to develop skills, always having that check on, that sort of regular checkup of trimming skills is really, really important. Even an annual skills check from someone like myself or one of the colleagues that I'm lucky enough to work with really just means that you guys stay on your A game and you really are in tip-top condition. And not drifting into any habits. I drift into habits, Alex, I'm sure you drift into habits. We all do it. And having that external check just nudges us along the right directions. That would be the main encouragement. I think in the long term, there may be changes that you could make to the housing to improve cow comfort, maybe during the hotter months. I think we could do a bit of work around heat abatement to look at reducing sole bruising. Yeah. But in terms of the way that you guys pick up lame cows and treat lame cows, I think you are really tip-top of your game, and it's just making it easier and just nudging you that extra 5% every single time we do a visit with you.
Yeah, I think the heat side of things is quite interesting, because we do see, lameness starts to spike in those months, and I think it is that trying to get them to sit down and feel more comfortable, isn't it? It's quite important.
I do always like to see a bit of an external sense check as well, and I think maybe getting somebody in on a quarterly or biannual basis to do a mobility score to say, okay, you guys are scoring all of your own cows and treating all of your own cows. Don't get me wrong, we are the best foot trimmers in the world in this conversation, in our heads, in our subconsciousness. And so to have that external sense check to say, okay, well, you guys maybe think that you're at 8% lameness prevalence, well, actually you're more like 10 or 11%. It just helps you to recalibrate and give you that sense check to make sure that your safety net is there. And having that independent person ROMS accredited is really, really important as part of that, because that is our baseline. And again, Shannon, I'm going to pick on you a little bit. I know you've done some ROMS training recently. It's something I'd really encourage as many farm staff to do or independent scorers to do. I'm just wondering if you could talk a little bit about the training. What did it cover? How did you find it? Was it interesting, useful?
Yeah, the training was good because we went through different bits really, stuff that I didn't know about, and covered a lot. Yeah, it was helpful because I think, like I said earlier, you become a bit blind to the cows you're used to seeing, which, yeah, so it's still quite good to get someone else in just to see where your percentage is at with that. But yeah, the training was good and I'd recommend anyone to do it just to open your eyes.
And did you feel that you sort of learnt a bit more about the professional service of a mobility scorer during that training as well?
Yeah, I think it's quite a harsh service really, because if you was to go to other farms, you've got to be right in what you're saying and pick up that lame cow and, you know, not let the farmer down in some aspect.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's useful to do.
Awesome. Thank you.